Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talks, so this is going to be a bit of a ramble. Now, I said in a video the other day that we need to go up the rabbit hole, not down it. And this was said in reference to a comment on a video by someone who said that they had gone down the rabbit hole with me for the past year. And I don't really like the whole rabbit hole connotation. On account of, well, first off, we're not rabbits, are we? Secondly, it's from Alice in Wonderland, and the idea is that going down the hole is, it's part of a dream. It's an hallucination. It's not reality, which is kind of the opposite of what people mean when in the environment of trying to ascertain knowledge about something, to look into something deeper. You go down the rabbit hole and you find out stuff that was hidden from view, which, as I said, goes against the original metaphor, which is that going down the hole is a fantasy, is an illusion. Hence why I think we should go up the rabbit hole rather than going down it, down in a hole in the dark, being fed stories, illusions, myths and hate and fear propaganda by the media, as people lie at the bottom of this rabbit hole in the dark, not knowing shit from shinola, not knowing where to go, left, right, up, down, what to do, what to think, following propaganda instructions from this fake stream media. One way of thinking about it is that maybe we all started out down the rabbit hole. I mean, if we look at the majority of people, they are still deep down this rabbit hole. Recent weeks have once again shown how easily swayed people are, how easily influenced they are by a media agenda. Look at all the people who attended Stand with Ukraine protests, who have changed their avatars to blue and yellow, who have painted their houses blue and yellow, even though the Ukraine-Russia conflict has been ongoing for the last 8 years. These same people last year had jabbed profiles, who were buying Fauci ouchie cushions, who were virtue signalling about Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ the year before, and so on, who probably did the ice bucket challenge. The direction of their minds completely led by the media. They literally jump on whatever bandwagon is presented to them. They do as they are told. It is them who, I believe, who are the ones who are deep down the rabbit hole, in the dark. That's why I say you need to go up the rabbit hole, at least so you're not in the dark and can look around and work out where to go for yourself. It's more about unlearning what we have been taught as opposed to examining or investigating stories we've been fed that's keeping us down the hole and making it even deeper. A hole that I feel we've all been born into. Mass media has only really come into massive circulation over the last 200 years. And with every new technology leap, whether it's printing presses, the television, right up to now with a screen basically attached to the end of your hand in the form of a smartphone, get rid of them smartphones. With every leap of this technology, its impact into people's lives has become more ubiquitous. I mean, can you imagine when the first large circulation of information of news was first passed around in cities and towns, and how much power they had to influence people, and how the people in charge of those news organizations would have kept a keen eye and overlooked the people who were writing in these newspapers, and how much it must have been controlled because of the power they had. And back then, when it was the only way for a person to have any understanding of the world outside their internal bubble of reality, of family, friends and locals, especially when there were no televisions or rival media, how much power these people had to control the outlook and opinion of the masses was crazy. Nothing has changed. The bankers, the moneylenders, the rich and the powerful controlled these organizations back then, and they still do now. The ability of these media outlets to control the opinions and the behavior of large areas of the population, the power over people, and of course the intrinsic selfish nature of the greedy and powerful must have led to them manufacturing news stories and deliberately deceiving stories in order to control the people. And therefore, back in the day, people were told whatever these powerful organizations and individuals wanted them to be told, so that their businesses would flourish. Much of what has been told is of no benefit to the public. Much of it lies, much of it fear propaganda to nudge populations into doing this or that, and right up until this day. I mean, look at the recent jab propaganda in Austria, for example, where up until about 5 to 6 weeks ago, they were saying they would compulsory mandate the jib-jab across the country and put people in prison if they didn't do as they were told. I said at the time, back in November, when they announced it, it was a threat. They didn't have enough prison cells to put people in who were unjabbed. They couldn't fit 1% of them in prison. It was an idle threat. And look, today we are seeing Austria, along with the other EU countries, ending restrictions, ending the need for passports for venues. I mean, are they going to bring it back? I don't know, but they're ending them now. So it was an illusion sold to you down the rabbit hole to scare people, to coerce them, to nudge them, to herd them through the gate. It wasn't actually real. They were never going to carry it out. An empty threat. But of course, all of these lockdowns and restrictions ended like that a few weeks back, and many people were saying, well, how come this has just ended? What's going on? What are they up to? This doesn't make sense. Well, now you know. I mean, you're looking at phase 2. Just look what has started immediately afterwards, as the restrictions were suddenly taken away. Look at all the chaos that has suddenly started out of nowhere. Are things going bang in Ukraine? Yes. Are people fleeing? Yes. Are innocent lives being turned upside down? Yes. Is it a simple tale of good guy versus bad guy? Absolutely not. Why did this all happen as soon as restrictions ended? As if on a schedule? Well, what do you think? And what does all of this achieve? I mean, what does this situation create? What does sanctions against Russia achieve? I mean, this is a continuance of the last 2 years. I mean, it's pretty obvious. I mean, what did lockdowns do? They financially crippled economies by getting them into more and more debt. Your debt, by their hand, destroy many small businesses, introduce a digital infrastructure, passports, IDs, and train people to use them. It's a reset. I mean, if you don't think this has nothing to do with that, then you're still in a hole, okay? What does this new scenario do? What does this new scenario create? It's clear to see so far. It's going to crash economies. It's going to crash the dollar. It's going to crash the EU. Food shortages, create hyperinflation. I mean, you must have noticed the petrol prices rising, and with these crashes, we will see people being nudged into adopting digital currencies. I mean, look at Russia and the SWIFT bank sanctions. There are people who have Russian bank accounts who can't get their money paid to them into their bank from certain organizations now because of the SWIFT ban. But guess what? There's a workaround. You guessed it. You can go through a cryptocurrency, nudging people into the direction of all the stuff that's mentioned in the reset. Cashless society, a cashless society because it works with a social credit system, etc., etc. I'm astounded. So many people just naturally are not suspicious of all of this happening at the flick of a switch. One crisis ends and another begins. I mean, you've got the same celebrity types, the same influencers, the same media pundit mouthpieces now calling for war, playing into the good versus evil stereotype, the same people pushing the agenda of the last 2 years. It's as clear as day, but of course if you're deep in the hole, in the dark, you can't see this. Celebrities, I mean, they used to be used to push fashion trends, to push soft drinks, wear designer fashion companies' clothes, get them to wear one of their items when they go out, promote that. Now they promote agendas. And it makes you wonder, especially with this rabbit hole analogy and the distortions, the misrepresentations and the outright lies we have seen over the last 2 years especially. It makes you wonder about everything you've been told about in history. What is the true version of events? Have we been sold a lie about everything? Or is all we've been told distorted to represent a certain way of thinking, to create a mindset? And is our idea of the world around us, is it completely untrue? When we see the news, are we witnessing, a lie covering up a cover-up that goes back decades? And to what extent? How far does this all go back? I mean, how deep down a hole were we to start with here? Fear propaganda. When has this not happened? I mean, in the 80s, you had the Cold War. You had movies like The Morning After and that animated one, When the Wind Blows. And there was another one as well, Threads, that scared the crap out of a generation. But nothing ever happened, did it? We had Neil Ferguson and his computer modelling bollocks and his predictions, which led to lockdowns. It didn't happen the way they said it was going to happen, did it? Where has all this led? And what is the goal? Well, it seems to me it's the one world government, the one world religion. Again, that was said in that leaked letter from the Canadian MP about the Great Reset. Again, this new scenario that we are seeing in the media being pushed at us and is happening plays into that. People talk about the religion aspect being nonsense. Why are you talking about fairy tale, imaginary person who lives in a cloud? Sorry, but you do not understand that your whole moral and ethical outlook, your understanding of what's right and what's wrong, is based on the 10 Commandments. It's the foundation. It's the blueprint after which the laws were structured, the laws under which you live now. As it says here, that the 10 Commandments to be the fundamental legal code of Western civilization and the common law of the United States. It says there was proof submitted here that substantiates that declaration. Okay, I mean, you go to a court, they get you to swear on a Bible. You may not believe in this and you may not believe in that, but the foundation comes from there. So to dismiss it as nonsense and irrelevant is clearly not true, as it's fundamental to the society that you live in. It's the foundation that everything is built on. And any reset, financial, economical, social, whatever it is, will attempt to introduce a new world religion and to reset that foundation, okay, as well. At least that's what I can see. That's what's coming across to me. Check out my One World Religion video if you want to look into more on that. And let's be fair, I mean, looking at where all this is going, whether it's imprisoning you with digital passports and social credit scores and cashless world where they can cut you off at any given moment, making you a digital slave, openly talking about human augmentation, wanting to upload your consciousness into the cloud, like combining humanity, AI, okay, and on and on. It sounds flipping shite. Nobody wants it, and yet still so many are stuck in the hole following these instructions. I mean, if you're out of the hole, then you've got a better chance than most, that's for sure. If you can see these patterns emerging, if you can align, say, the same celebrities, the same influencers, the same commentators, the same mouthpieces who have now switched all of a sudden like that from COVID to this new mantra and are virtue signaling and calling for war. If you can see that, if you can connect them, then that's a good sign. I mean, on these videos, what I am attempting to do is trying to highlight the distortions, the contradictions, the fakery of some of the stories in the media, undermining them, because it's simply leading people astray. It's been doing that for a long time, maybe forever, but at the moment it's crazy. So let us know in the comments, to what extent do you think we've all been led astray? Is it just over the last few years? Do you think, though, it goes back much, much further? And if so, how far does it go back? Okay? That's enough rambling from me. Okay? It's enough. Keep safe. Keep yourself aware. Question everything. Observe. Don't consume. Keep your family and friends close. Those that you can see, those people who you are in contact with because you know them. They are real, not these people on the TV that you've never met. Stay positive. Don't lose heart. So many emails, so many people contacting me who are down, like really down. I get so many emails from people who are feeling terrible at the moment. I don't know what to say. Do not lose heart. Do not be discouraged. Part of what is going on is exactly to do that. That's what they want to achieve. Feck 'em. You can rise to the challenge. Whatever happens, you can overcome it. In the face of adversity, people can find amazing strength somewhere from within. Beware of the Decepticons, because never has there been so much deception. Don't allow them to lead your mind astray. Okay? As always, thanks for listening. Come and subscribe to the tribe at hugotalks.com. A place for like-minded souls, and I'll see you later.